Many of the consequences of climate change are caused by human behavior, like burning fossil fuels, industrial activities, transport, deforestation, and so on. One of the effects of climate change is global warming. The increase in temperature can cause catastrophic consequences. Some researchers point out that our global temperature can increase to 4 degrees Celsius by 2100. The increase in temperature modifies the metabolism and transpiration of plants, changing the amount of water needed for their development. From this, there should be an increase in agriculture productive in some regions and a decrease in others. In tropical regions, brutal storms would occur. In temperate regions, the climate would become hotter and drier. In polar regions, the ice would melt, causing sea levels to rise and coastal cities to flood. Besides, of all the solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface, 45% is visible light, 45% is infrared radiation, and 10% is ultraviolet rays, whose increasing intensity can compromise the survival on Earth. The worst consequence of global warming is the lack of water. Due to the increase in temperature, the water cycle is affected. In summary, the evaporation increases, the soil moisture changes as the rain and its disponibility to consume. My country, Brazil, has the largest availability of fresh water on the planet. But this availability is notably unique among the regions of the country. According to the National Sanitation Information System, 16% of the Brazilian population doesn't have access to treated water. The most common way of pollution water is by human and animal waste in rivers, lakes, and seas. Because of this, many rivers that wash cities have their flora and fauna destroyed. Where there is no basic sanitation, homes are usually supplied with water from wells, and the sewage is poured into cesspools. If the cesspools are close to the wells, the drinking water will be contaminated. According to the Brazilian Institute of Geographic and Statistics, there were 166.8 hospital admissions per 100,000 inhabitants in Brazil due to disease related to lack of sanitation in 2016. Following the OMS in 2017, more than a quarter of deaths of children under the age of 5 were caused by environmental factors, such as pollution, poor sanitation, and the use of water unfit for consumption. The freshwater source, the most vital for human beings, are the ones that receive the most pollutants. Many places on the planet suffer risks of lacking water. Also, when it has to be brought from another place, the cost is more expensive. It is an infinite cycle. The climate change causes global warming, which contributes to the lack of water, which results in disease that end in deaths. And there is a determinant factor in all that cycle: poverty. We need to decrease these environmental impacts to enable the next generation to have a habitable world. Each generation should have the obligation to give to the next generation an environment equivalent to or better than the one received before. We know what we need. We need the reduction of deforestation, investments in reforestation, and conservation of natural areas. We must develop global strategies for natural resource use. We need to care. We need more climate politics, but also individual conscientization like small actions, such as reducing the consumption of meat, because it decreases the greenhouse effects, the water consumption, and the deforestation. It is essential to mention how social inequality and capitalism affect our environment. Many companies don't care about the proper disposal of their products. As the writer and activist Sabrina Fernanda says in her book, if the waste costs were responsibility of the companies, would they produce so many things made to break? Unfortunately, the lack of information about climate change is a reality. We don't see authorities often talking about it or doing something to change. We are living a sustainability crisis and we need to act now.